In the tapes obtained by CNN, the soldiers accused, in their own words, are not denying anything, but trying to explain how highly trained soldiers could become a band of killers.
And so we identified a guy that, makes a comment like, "Hey, you guys want to wax this guy or what?" And he'd set it up. Like he grabbed the dude.
Corporal Jeremy Morlock, accused of killing 3 Afghan civilian men, 2 by shooting, the third, which is described to a military investigator, was literally a setup, he says, by his platoon leader, Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs.
So what did you do? Explain everything.
We had this guy by his compound, and so Gibbs, walked him out and set him in place. Like, hey, stand here.
He was fully cooperating?
Yeah.
Was he armed?
No, nothing that we were aware of.
Where did he stand him? Next to a wall?
Yeah, it's kind of next to a wall. It's where Gibbs could get, behind cover after the grenade went off, and then he kind of placed me off over here to have, a clean line of sight for this guy. And, he pulled out one of his grenades, American grenade, popped it, throws the grenade, and then, tells me, all right, dude, wax this guy, kill this guy.
Morlock goes on to describe 2 more killings. Unarmed Afghan civilians picked out, stood up, shot, and then blown up with a grenade.
Did you see him present any weapons, or was he aggressive at you at all? Did he?
No, not at all. Nothing.
Okay.
He wasn't a threat.
Michael Waddington is Corporal Jeremy Morlock's civilian attorney.
I want you to tell me that this didn't happen, that this isn't true. Can you?
That 3 people were not killed?
That members of the U.S. military didn't go out and 3 Afghan civilians were killed for sport?
You have the, from what I understand, the case file. I mean, you know what the witnesses in that file say, and what they say in their videos. But that's what it sounds like.
To defend his client, Mike Waddington will try to prove Corporal Morlock, already injured in 2 separate IED attacks, was suffering from brain damage. And instead of treating him, Waddington says the Army drugged him.
So your defense is that your client was mentally incapacitated, that the Army either knew it or should have known it.
Well, the Army
should not have been put in that position.
The Army knew it because they were prescribing drugs to him to try to treat his symptoms. His symptoms involved nausea, vomiting, inability to sleep, and these are injuries that are common in traumatic brain injury. The Army knew that he had been blown up in 2 IED attacks. The Army then chose, rather than to treat him, to take his weapon, give it back to him, because for whatever reason, and then load him up on drugs.
The drugs shown here, distributed in plastic baggies, included Ambien and amitriptyline, both of which carry FDA warnings about producing suicidal thoughts. The trouble began, Morlock says, in November of 2009, when the Stryker Brigade got a new squad leader, Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs.
When Gibbs showed up at this unit, he bragged to the young soldiers underneath him, including my client, about killing innocent people in Iraq.
Staff Sergeant Gibbs is charged in all 3 killings, and witnesses stated it was this new commander who orchestrated, coerced, and threatened the Stryker Brigade to both kill Afghan civilians and cover up their murders. And there is something else. The U.S. Army accuses Staff Sergeant Gibbs of collecting teeth, leg bones, and fingers as souvenirs.
Did your client see those fingers? He says he did.
According to his statement, he did see that happen.
Specialist Adam Kelly served under Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs. In the tape of his interrogation obtained by CNN, Kelly describes the ready stash of non-U.S. issued guns and hand grenades that were to be planted on murder victims. Specialist Kelly is not charged with murder.
So you guys kept your on-hand stuff. It was never touched. Everything that you threw tended to be the off-the-book, so you didn't have to worry about it.
No. The off-the-book stuff was like his.
Corporal Jeremy Morlock told Army interrogators fellow soldiers feared Gibbs, feared retaliation, even for their lives, if they didn't carry out the killings he ordered.
If Gibbs knew that I was sitting here in front of this camera right now, there's no doubt in my mind that he'd take me out if he had to. Like, even if it was too late, even if, you know, I had pictures of him, you know, doing illegal stuff, he wouldn't care. Because in his mind, he'll spend the rest of his life in jail as long as he knows he got his.
Corporal Emmett Quintal is charged in 5 counts of drug abuse, possession of pictures of dead bodies, and of beating a soldier who was trying to warn the Army what was going on. He says the boredom and the stress pushed this platoon to escape.
How long did the drug use within the unit continue?
The smoking hashish?
Hashish, yeah.
Probably up until about a week and a half ago.
All the way from the beginning of the deployment until now?
Yes.
Chronically? I mean, was it consistently or what?
Bad days, stressful days, days that we just needed to escape.
CNN has placed several calls to attorneys representing soldiers Emmett Quintal and Adam Kelly. Calls not returned. According to the soldiers' taped interviews, the drugs came from locals who laced hash with opium. Other soldiers admitted to abusing prescription pills. Corporal Morlock's attorney, Michael Waddington, says the drug use was daily, rampant, and obvious.
This paints a picture of U.S. Army soldiers smoking hash at night, killing Afghans by day. How is it possible that, if this is true, that nobody knew in authority? Nobody put a stop to it?
That's impossible that nobody knew. I mean, on the ground, if you have a bunch of soldiers walking around with brain injury that are drugged up by prescription painkillers and narcotics and smoking hash and opium on a daily basis, you would be able to know it instantly if you have any common sense.
One soldier did apparently try to warn superiors. That soldier is not charged. Corporal Quintal tells investigators that on May 4th, the platoon, under the direction of Staff Sergeant Gibbs, went to the barracks of the man they believe was a snitch, a narc, and beat him up.
He was asked, he wouldn't tell us he narked or why or anything. Pretty much everybody just kind of started striking.
Where was he sitting before you pulled him off the bed?
On his cot.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then they pulled him onto the floor. I did strike twice.
Did everybody take part in it?
Yes. Gibbs sat down casually and told that if he snitched again, he would kill him, and that he has killed people before and he has no problems killing again. At that time, Staff Sergeant Gibbs had a cloth. He opened it and dropped it, and 3 human body fingers fell on the ground. At that point, I kind of lost my head.